So in this lecture, let's go ahead and try to add the form over here at the bottom of our list items. So in order to get the form, you can actually go ahead and design your form from scratch, or else what you can simply do is that you can search for Bootstrap for forms. And if you click on the first link, which is from getbootstrap.com, you can actually get access to all of the forms which are by default present, and you just need to copy them and paste them in your code. So if you go over here, as you can see, there are a bunch of forms. So here you have a form in order to enter your email address and password. And if you actually go down over here, as you can see, you have multiple forms which you can choose from. So right now we are actually going to choose a form which accepts the different kinds of details like the name, address, everything like that. So if you actually have a look at this particular form, as you can see, this is the form which we are looking for. It accepts the email, the password. So in place of password, we will have something else. Let's say we want to accept the name, and then we will accept the email, address, the city, so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and actually pick this form from here. So let's simply copy this code which is present right over here. So I'll simply copy that, and let's move back to our code. And in here, right where this particular row ends, so this is our container, this is our column, and this particular column actually ends here. And for some weird reason, I've actually placed the row inside a column, which is not actually a thing to do. So I'll just go ahead, cut this from here, paste this up over here, and get rid of this additional div. So now if we have a look at this, as you can see, it looks much more better. So this is actually a proper way to do that. And I don't know, for some weird reason, I've actually wrapped up the row inside the column, and that should not actually be the case. Okay, so now once we have this row ending over here, let's create another row. So I'll type in div. The class is going to be row. And in there, let's go ahead and create columns. So I'll type in div. The class is going to be called -md-12, and in there we'll actually go ahead and paste this particular form right here. So let me just again copy that and paste it up over here. So now if we switch back and hit refresh, as you can see, now we have that form up over here. Now let's make a few modifications to this particular form. So let's say instead of having the email first, let's say we want to accept the name. So let's go to the email field right here. Let's replace this with name. Then let's replace this input type with text. And let's also get rid of the placeholder as well. And let's say the placeholder is something like John. And in place of password, let's say we go ahead and want to accept the email. So I'll type in email over here, and the type is going to be, let's say, text as well. And let's say the placeholder is John at john.com. And now let's move on to the next part, which is the address, and let's keep address as it is, and we don't want to change that for now. And the next one is the address line 2. So for now, we will just go ahead and get rid of that. And let's say for the next one, we actually want to have the city, the state, and the zip code as it is. And let's also go ahead and get rid of this particular checkbox as well, because for now we don't need that. So let's delete this entirely. And now once we get rid of that, we should have the form which we want. And in here, instead of sign in, let's say we change that thing to place order. Okay, so once we have that, we are pretty much good to go. Now the only thing which we need to do is that we need to actually go ahead and assign the name and ID for each one of these individual fields. So what we essentially want to do is that we want to submit this entire form using Django. So in order to submit this form, we first of all need to get access to the name and IDs of these particular form elements. So in order to get access to the form elements right over here, first of all, you need to assign them a particular ID and a particular name. So in order to assign particular ID and name, you simply go to the input field of the respective fields, and you type in ID equals, let's say, name for this, and the name is going to be equal to name. So you need to assign the ID and name for each one of the input elements right here. So let's do the same thing for email as well. So the name is going to be email and the ID is going to be email as well. And then for this one, we are going to have the ID as address and the name as address as well. And for the city, let's go ahead and type in the ID as city and the name as city as well. So you can do that manually and it will actually go ahead and take some time. And for the state, let's actually go ahead and instead of having a select box over here, let's simply go ahead and make use of the regular text box right over here. So the ID for this is going to be state and the name is going to be state as well. So now let's do the same thing, that is assign the name and ID for the zip as well. So the type is going to be text and the ID is actually going to be zip, or let's say zip code, and the name is going to be zip code as well. Okay, so now once we have changed the names and IDs of the respective fields, we are pretty much good to go. So now what we need to do is that we need to handle this particular submit request. So for example, whenever you go ahead and click this particular form, this form should actually post the data, meaning that the form method which this should be using should be the post method. So we will be using the post method to actually post this data into the database. So in order to handle that post request, now we need to go into the views.py file. And in here, as you can see, this particular thing is the checkout view which we already have. So in this particular checkout view, we first of all go ahead and see if the request method is post. So for that, we type in if request, which is this request right here, dot method. If the method is equal to nothing but post, which means that the form is trying to post some data using this view, then in that case, what we wish to do is that first of all, we need to get all the items which are submitted to the post request. And the items are nothing but the name, the email, the address, the city, and the state, so on and so forth. So now in order to get all those items, what we do is that we go ahead and type in name equals, and in order to get the name from the request, we type in request dot the method name, which is post, and from that we will get the element which is nothing but name. So I'll type in name over here, and here the default value for name, we are going to leave it empty. So we are going to do this for all the fields which we have in our form in order to actually submit this form. So I'll type in email over here now. So let's type in email. So we will get the email in the same fashion. So I'll add email. Then let's also add the address. And now let's get the city. So I'll type in city equals city. And now let's also get the state as well. So state is going to be equal to request.post get the state. Then let's do the final thing, which is zip code. So zip code is going to be equal to get zip code. Okay, so once we have extracted all these fields, which is name, email, address, city, state, and zip code, now we actually need some model in our database so that we can store these things. So right now we don't have any model to store all this data, and hence in order to store this particular order data, let's go ahead and let's actually make a particular model. So let's hop back to the models.py file, which is this file right here, and let's create a new model called as orders in order to store the order related data. So this is going to inherit from models.model, and now let's go ahead and use the exact same fields over here. So in this particular model field, we are not only going to include these fields over here, but we are also going to actually go ahead and include the items field as well, which is going to store the items which are ordered by that particular person. So here the first field which we will be creating is going to be items. So I'll type in items equals models dot, let's say this is going to be a character field, and for the max length of this particular thing, we'll set the max length equal to, let's say, 1000. And now let's go ahead and create the other fields as well, such as name, email, address, city, so on and so forth. So you can pause this video and create these fields on your own. Okay, so now as you can see, I have actually created this model here, and now we'll actually go ahead and make migrations for this particular model. So I'll type in python 3 manage.py make migrations, and then I'll type in python 3 manage.py migrate. And once we go ahead and do that, the order table will be actually created in our backend. And now once we have that particular order table, we can now actually go ahead and get this data which we have got from the post request and actually save that data in our order table. So in order to store that, I'll type in order equals, and then I'll create the object of the class order, and in here we'll simply pass in all these fields right over here. So you definitely need to make sure that whatever names you're using over here for the field actually match up with the names which are given over here. So I'll type in order, and then I'll type in the respective fields. So I'll type in name equals name, then I'll give a comma, I'll add the next field which is email, which is going to be equal to email, then the address is going to be equal to address, and you need to do this for all the fields which we have over here. And once we have actually done that, we are pretty much good to go. And now as you can see, we actually have this particular field right here, which is the ordered items, and we also have that ordered items field over here as well, but we are not going to deal with that as of now. As of now, we just want to extract the name, email, and all these fields right here. So now once we have this particular object, and once you have all that data substituted in that particular object, to actually store this into the database, you simply need to store this particular object. So you need to type in order.save, and that's actually going to take all this data submitted to the form, and it's going to create an object out of it, and this save method is actually going to save that particular data into your database. So now let's see if we are actually able to make this work. So first of all, let's see if we have the orders table, and I first need to make sure that the server is up and running. So once the server is up and running, let's now go to localhost port 8000/admin. Let's actually log in. And now if you have a look over here, we only have products because we have not yet registered the model, which is the orders model. So let's go ahead and register that in the admin.py. So here I'll simply say from .models import orders, or order, from .models import order, or you can also go ahead and directly type in order over here as well, because we already have from .models. And now in order to register that, I'll need to type in admin.site.register and simply register the model, which is order. And one more important thing which I forgot to mention over here is that if you actually go to the views.py file, as we have actually saved, or we have actually created the object of order over here, you also need to go ahead and import order over here as well. So I have just imported order over here. So now once we are done with that, hopefully everything should work fine. So if I hit refresh, we have orders over here, and now let's try to actually submit a order over here, and let's see what do we get. So I have added some dummy data over here, and when I click on place order, we do actually have some sort of an issue over here which says local variable name referenced before assignment. So let's see what exactly went wrong. Okay, so the reason for the error was actually we have forgotten to indent this particular thing. So this should actually be present inside the if statement and not outside of it. And one more thing which you need to do over here is that whenever you're submitting the form data, you also need to go ahead and add the CSRF token right over here. So right inside the form and simply type in CSRF underscore token, and this is the token which is used for security purposes, and it actually stands for cross-site request forgery, which means that if someone attempts a cross-site request forgery, it won't be able to do so. So now once we go ahead and fix those two issues, and now if I try to submit some dummy data and place order, as you can see, we do get the same page over here and we don't have any errors. So when I hit refresh and when we go to orders over here, we have the order object 1, and if I click on that, as you can see, we have all the details submitted right over here. So as you can see, we have all the form fields submitted, and the only field which is remaining is items over here. And in the upcoming lecture, we will go ahead and learn how we can also get this particular item field and get all the items which we have in our cart and have them submit to the database. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.